Haven. Even the name felt heavy, laden with an unseen burden. It was as if the very essence of the town was cloaked in a shroud of mystery and melancholy. The town huddled beneath a perpetual twilight, the sun seemingly reluctant to touch its cobblestone streets. The dim light cast an eerie glow, making the town appear as if it were trapped in an eternal dusk. Shadows stretched long and gnarled, twisting like phantoms in the wind. They seemed to move with a life of their own, creating an ever-shifting tapestry of darkness. Whispers danced on the breeze, carried on the air like mournful sighs. These whispers were the voices of the past, echoing through the empty streets, telling tales of sorrow and loss. They spoke of forgotten promises and a darkness that lingered long after the sun had set. The air was thick with the weight of unspoken words and unfulfilled dreams. This was not a place for the living. It reeked of old secrets and older sorrows, a place where the past refused to let go, and the present was but a shadow of what once was, a place where time itself seemed to hold its breath. The old clock in the town square had long since stopped, its hands frozen in a moment that no one could remember. The very air hummed with an unsettling energy, a discordant symphony conducted by an unseen hand. It was as if the town itself was alive, watching, waiting. Haven was a siren's call, alluring in its mystery, yet promising nothing but despair. It drew you in with its enigmatic charm, only to ensnare you in its web of darkness and desolation. The bus arrived at the stroke of midnight, its headlights cutting through the oppressive darkness like beacons in the night. It was a hulking, antiquated vehicle, its paint chipped and faded, its windows clouded with the grime of countless journeys. The Midnight Express, they called it, a one-way ticket to the forgotten town of Haven. No schedule, no fixed route. It materialized from the shadows when it sensed a soul seeking solace, a sanctuary from the harsh realities of the world. For Evelyn, her heart heavy with grief, Haven had whispered a promise of peace, a refuge from the storm raging within her. Little did she know, she was stepping not into a sanctuary, but into a cage. The bus creaked to a halt, its brakes sighing like a weary beast. The sound echoed through the empty streets, a lonely whisper in the night. Evelyn stepped out onto the desolate street, the only passenger foolish enough to answer Haven's call that night. Her heart pounded in her chest as she took in the eerie silence that enveloped the town. The silence was deafening, broken only by the rhythmic chirping of crickets and the distant howling of dogs. It was as if the town itself was holding its breath, waiting for something to happen. A chill wind whipped through the deserted streets, carrying with it the scent of damp earth and something else, something ancient and unsettling. The wind seemed to whisper secrets, tales of a time long forgotten. The buildings stood tall and imposing, their facades crumbling with neglect. Each structure seemed to tell a story of abandonment and decay, of lives once lived and now forgotten. Windows like vacant eyes stared back at her, reflecting nothing but the encroaching darkness. They seemed to watch her every move, as if the town itself was alive and aware of her presence. The town square, once a bustling hub of activity, lay deserted, the fountain dry and cracked, a testament to Haven's forgotten glory. The echoes of laughter and chatter that once filled the air were now replaced by an oppressive silence, a reminder of what once was and what had been lost. Drawn by an unseen force, Evelyn found herself walking towards the outskirts of town, her footsteps echoing on the cobblestone path. The night was eerily quiet, save for the occasional rustle of leaves in the wind. Each step she took seemed to resonate with a sense of inevitability, as if the path itself was guiding her towards an unknown destiny. Looming before her, stark and imposing against the twilight sky, was the Haven Sanatorium. The building stood like a sentinel, its dark windows staring back at her like empty eyes. The air around it felt heavy, almost suffocating, as if the very atmosphere was thick with the weight of forgotten memories and untold stories. Its silhouette, a jagged scar against the horizon, spoke of a dark and troubled past. The crumbling walls and broken windows whispered secrets of despair and madness, tales of those who had once walked its halls and never returned. The building seemed to pulse with a life of its own, a silent witness to countless tragedies. The iron gates, rusted and overgrown with ivy, creaked open as if inviting her in. The sound echoed in the stillness, a haunting melody that sent shivers down her spine. It was as if the gates themselves were alive, beckoning her to step into the unknown, to uncover the mysteries that lay within. A sense of foreboding washed over her, a primal instinct screaming at her to turn back. Her heart pounded in her chest, each beat a reminder of the danger that lay ahead. Yet, despite the fear that gripped her, she felt an inexplicable pull, a magnetic force that urged her to continue. But something, perhaps the promise of solace that had lured her to Haven in the first place, compelled her forward. She took a deep breath, steeling herself for whatever awaited her inside. The promise of answers, of understanding, was too strong to ignore. She had come this far, and there was no turning back now. She stepped across the threshold, and the gates slammed shut behind her with a resounding clang, sealing her fate. The sound reverberated through the night, a final ominous note that marked the beginning of her journey into the heart of darkness. Evelyn knew that whatever lay ahead, she would face it head-on, driven by a need to uncover the truth. The asylum's interior was a labyrinth of dimly lit corridors and decaying grandeur. Dust motes danced in the faint moonlight filtering through grimy windows. The air hung heavy with the scent of mildew and decay, a tangible manifestation of the building's sorrow. As Evelyn ventured deeper into the asylum's bowels, she noticed faint whispers echoing through the halls. They seemed to emanate from the very walls themselves, disembodied voices whispering her name, beckoning her forward. Each whisper sent shivers down her spine, a chilling reminder that she was not alone within these walls. Fear, cold and clammy, tightened its grip on her heart. In a dusty room at the end of a seemingly endless corridor, Evelyn stumbled upon a macabre discovery. A large, leather-bound ledger lay open on a decaying table, its pages filled with names scrawled in faded ink. Each name represented a soul lost to Haven's embrace, a testament to the town's sinister nature. As she ran her fingers over the brittle pages, a cold dread settled in her stomach. The names seemed to writhe and twist under her touch, their silent screams echoing in her mind. And then, she saw it, her own name, freshly inscribed at the bottom of the page, as if in anticipation of her arrival. Panic surged through her. The whispers grew louder, more insistent, their tone shifting from mournful to menacing. She had to escape this place, this town, but as she turned to flee, she realized the truth that had been lurking beneath the surface all along. Haven was not a sanctuary, but a prison. The doors were locked, the windows nailed shut. The asylum, like the town itself, was a cage designed to keep its inhabitants trapped for eternity. The realization hit her like a physical blow, stealing her breath and leaving her paralyzed with terror. Days bled into nights, and still, Evelyn remained trapped within the asylum's decaying embrace. The whispers became her constant companions, their voices growing stronger with each passing hour. They taunted her with glimpses of her past, her pain, her regrets, twisting them into grotesque mockeries of her former life. She tried to fight, to find a way out, but Haven held her fast. Its grip was insidious, relentless, slowly chipping away at her sanity, her hope, her very soul. She was becoming one of them, another lost soul condemned to wander the halls of the asylum for eternity. As the first rays of dawn pierced through the grimy windows, Evelyn heard the distant rumble of an engine. It was the Midnight Express, returning for its grim harvest. She watched from the window as a lone figure, their face obscured by the shadows of their hood, stepped off the bus. Their shoulders slumped with a familiar burden of grief, their eyes searching for the solace that Haven falsely promised. The cycle was repeating, the town's hunger for souls insatiable. Evelyn closed her eyes, accepting her fate. She was Haven's now, just another whisper in the wind, another name in the ledger of lost souls. The bus pulled away, leaving her behind, its tire tracks the only evidence that anyone had ever dared to enter or escape the town's eternal grip. And so, the town of Haven remained, shrouded in shadows and whispers, a chilling testament to the darkness that lies hidden beneath the surface of the world, waiting to claim the souls of the lost and the broken.